So, I'm sure we can all agree that Sonic Frontiers is a huge redemption for the Sonic franchise, yeah? So, I suddenly had an urge to replay the game and got a video idea out of it. Yep, Sonic Frontiers still has a use for my channel even after my Let's Play and review. You haven't seen the last of Sonic Frontiers content on my channel. Anyway, I will be ranking all of the main bosses in this game. That means the 4 Titans and the end. And I believe it's pretty obvious who's gonna be in last place. But with all that said, let's get this shit done, shall we? Okay, I'm sure this was obvious. Like, what the hell, man? This is just disappointing. Actually, now that I think about it, this game kinda went downhill after Chaos Island. But anyway, this boss fight feels more like a mini-game rather than a final boss. Like, seriously, what the hell? I wanted to like this boss, especially since Frontiers was the best Sonic game in a long time, and it had amazing Titan bosses. But no, this fight looks like something you'd expect from the arcade game Galaga. This fight is basically, no, exactly the same as the mini-games where you try to hack into a computer to open a door. Oh, and it gets worse. You can only fight this boss on hard mode. If you played the normal or easy modes, this fight will be skipped and it will seem like Sonic just one-shot the end just by going fast. I don't know if the developers ran out of time or budget or both even. But either way, this is probably the most disappointing Sonic boss fight, like, pretty much ever. If there was one good thing I could say about this fight, it would be that the song is pretty good. But that's really the only thing this fight has going for it. Again, I wanted to like this fight. It really had so much potential. Like, the Titan fights were great for the most part, and we have to end the game with this? Ugh. Okay, I'm kinda burned out now, so let's move on. And now to the surprise 4th Titan, Supreme. Even though his name is Supreme, his fight is kinda lackluster, at least compared to the previous Titan fights. Call me crazy, but I was hoping this fight would be difficult considering the fact that Supreme is supposed to be the most powerful Titan of the bunch. In the first phase, he doesn't attack all that much, but when he does, they're usually slow and easy to dodge, except for that clap in which you have to parry. Meanwhile, you, as Super Sonic, can do a shit ton of damage just by building up your combos. And before you know it, you're already at the second phase. At first glance, it looks neat since Supreme has wings, but then you realize that all he does is float around. He doesn't even fly across the map like Wyvern. There will be a point where you can't do much damage, but after the quick time event where he tries to shoot you, you basically own him. What's worse about this fight is that if you play this game on easy or normal mode, this is the final boss. This boss feels like a step down from the amazing fights against the first 3 Titans, even if they were weaker stats-wise. I once saw a mod on YouTube, and let me just say, this mod makes this fight look at least 1,000 times better than what we officially got. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard rumors that the developers were working on fixing this boss fight as well as the fight against the end. If this is true, I might remake my list in the future. But for now, let's see which boss fight gets the bronze medal. And the bronze medal goes to the first boss in the game. This boss is when we start to realize that Sonic is finally cool again. But anyway, unless you heavily grinded while you were at Kronos Island, you don't have a lot of options for attacks, which makes this fight all the more fun. After you bring Giganto down to half health, the second phase will be triggered. When that happens, this Titan shoots beams from his mouth and tries to eat you, both of which, where you have to do some button mashing. Oh, and before I forget, Undefeatable fucking slaps. Like pretty much the majority of Sonic songs, but whatever. This probably goes for the rest of the Titan fights, but I don't know why, but it is always so satisfying for me to just go apeshit on a Titan. And I can't just not bring up how Sonic killed Giganto in the same way Goku killed King Piccolo in the OG Dragon Ball. But before we move on, wanna hear something funny? The first boss in Sonic Frontiers is at least 1,000 times more climactic and cinematic than the entirety of Sonic Forces. Yeah, I don't think I can touch Forces again after playing Frontiers. But with all that said, let's move on. And the silver medal goes to one of the most badass titans of the bunch. Before we begin talking about the fight itself, let me just say, Find Your Flame is probably the best normal boss fight song in my personal opinion. Don't at me. But anyway, I always have a blast trying to charge at Knight with his shield while he's firing missiles at me. Since you probably have access to a shit ton of attacks and combos, you can just go haywire until the second phase gets triggered. Once that happens, you can parry his shield to once again go apeshit until the quick time events get triggered. Also, I can't help but think about this. Knight is probably the most intelligent titan of the bunch. Like, just think about it. Notice how he uses his shield to keep Sonic at bay. It's like he knows Super Sonic is invincible, so he tries to stall him until he runs out of rings. But as for the quick time events, they are just a pure adrenaline rush. After the fight, we see probably one of the most badass moments in Sonic history, where Sonic slices Knight in half, Future Trunks style. But yeah, with all that said, let's see which boss got the gold medal. And the gold medal goes to Wyvern, the only flying titan. This boss takes the throne for a number of reasons, with the main one being the fact that you and Wyvern fly across the entire map. So this is basically what I wanted Supreme to be. But anyway, to the fight itself, this fight is a pure adrenaline rush. Oh, and break through it all is just the icing on the cake. I also like how Sonic just yeets Wyvern to a fucking mountain, Mario 64 style. It really shows how powerful Super Sonic is. And things only get crazier when the second phase hits. Not only do we have to deal with the missiles, but there's also these... Okay, I don't know what they are, so I'm just gonna say shockwaves. Anyway, there's also the fact that both of you are flying at Mach speed and listening to this part of the song that is only played in the second phase, which is just downright exhilarating. Oh, and the quick time events are just intense. Okay, look, I guess this fight could be a pain in the ass if you don't know what you're doing, but once you get your parries right, it is just straight up hype. But yeah, while the finisher is not as cool as Knight's, it's still pretty sick on its own at the end of the day. So, this is my boss ranking of Sonic Frontiers. Alright, I don't really have an outro plan, so I hope you look forward to my calm rant about the Netflix Death Note movie, and until then, I'll see you in the next video. See ya, chump!
Snooping as usual, I see.